Well, good morning and welcome back to the Broadcast Retirement Network. I'm Jeff Snyder. This is BRN AM for Thursday, January 23rd, 2020. And here are our top stories. How can you get better at growing older in 2020? And a financial to-do list for this year. Well, let's welcome to the program Kari Hannon, personal finance expert, author, and columnist. Kari, thanks so much for joining us this morning. Happy New Year to you.
Happy New Year. It's a delight to be here, Jeff. Thanks for asking me.
Well, I enjoy, and the audience enjoys hearing your perspective. So let's talk about 2020. It's here. I can't even believe we're into a new decade. But you have come up with a list of things that people can do now in personal finance. So why don't you walk us through some of the high points?
All right. Well, so bear with me because I'm going to kind of just walk you through the year a little bit. You know, this is the time of year that everyone's like, oh, I'm going to make resolutions. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. And you write down on maybe your big calendar all these wonderful things you're going to do this year. But what I look at is this is a great time in January to do something none of us ever want to do, which is a budget. Okay, so take this chance to write down what your spending budget's going to be this year. It will really make a big difference in your life. So write down, some of the things you spend money on, the regular expenses, your mortgage or your utility bills and things. But then take a look at some of these discretionary things that are going to come up for this year that you may not have every year. And there are a lot of these. For example, this year I've got a nephew getting married and a niece getting married. So I've got to travel for these. My husband and I have a trip to France for 10 days to Normandy. So these are budget items. I've already paid for that air ticket, but I'm going to have expenses while I'm there. So start to pencil out what's your year going to look like in terms of spending, and where might you be able to, kind of budget for that so that you have a cushion. And, it's a good time also to look at your emergency fund. We don't know some of these unexpected things that can happen. And I have animals, and believe me, these vet bills can knock you back. So, you need to have just set a little aside sort of in case of, or if you have a health issue that comes up. Nobody wants these things, but you've got to make yourself think about it and make some room in your budget for it. So look at the emergency fund, look at what might be coming down the lane for you this year. And then this is a great time to review your credit report, okay? Excellent. Yeah. Look at the three big credit bureaus. And easy to do. You can get a free credit report at annualcreditreport.com. So I really encourage people. And if there are mistakes, you can fix those. Contact the credit bureau, contact whoever provided that information to them, and that's all available to you on the credit report. But you have to do it in writing, and they have to follow up. And and there's quarterly taxes if you do that. I work for myself, so we're almost ready for those, right? So take a look at that. So that's January. So there you go.
Yeah, Kari, I think what's really hard for many Americans, including myself sometimes, is setting a incremental tickler or something to remind you, I guess a reminder to remind you to do these things. And it can be really daunting, right? I mean, a lot of us want to put our heads in the sand when things get overwhelming. And any tips for doing that? Because what you're suggesting are great ideas, but could be overwhelming for many people who are like, I just want to push it aside.
Well, you can't push aside those estimated taxes.
No, you can't. No, you can't.
But, do that. I mean, make yourself do a calendar that's your personal finance calendar, and try to be disciplined about this, because this is, we know that money, is the biggest stumbling block to achieving our dreams and what we really want out of life. So these are baby steps that you can do to make sure you can sleep at night throughout the year. And like in February, I like the idea of, we love Valentine's Day, but why not make a money date with your partner if you have one? And this is, I think it's really important when you can have this sort of financial honesty with one another. What a great gift. So skip the flowers, have this little conversation. And it's not necessarily easy, but I think, it's a great way to make sure that you're both on the same team this year so that you can root for each other and the things that you might want to spend money on different things this year. So let's talk about that.
Yeah, we may be hearing from 1-800-Flowers and FTD Floors who say just get the flowers, but we love flowers, guys, and for really important occasions, it's important. But Kari makes some great points. I want to go back to one thing, Kari. You talked about the annual credit report, and I think many Americans are not even aware that they can do that and should do that, because that has really important implications for how you can borrow money, and your credit worthiness is everything, really.
It's true, and it's so important to your financial health. And this is not a hard thing, and it's not stressful to do. Maybe but you can catch mistakes, and if there are mistakes on them, you can have trouble getting loans. You can have even getting a lease on things. There's all kinds of things that mistakes on your credit report can reflect on your financial life moving forward. So I really think it's important that everyone takes the time to do that. So if we skip through, Jeff, the rest of the year, we've got taxes in April. In June, hey, why not make that a mid-year time to do a checkup on your portfolio? Do you need to rebalance? Where are things? Where do you stand right now? And this is a really good time to do that, because the market, even if you look at what happened in 2019, I looked at my report actually at the end of my portfolio at the end of the year, and it was really out of skew, right, to what my tolerance was for risk moving forward. So this is a good time to sit down with your advisor. If you do it yourself, fine, but make yourself do that. It's a really important step to do.
Yeah, I agree, and you can also time it with the receipt if you have a 401k or an IRA or a brokerage account or even a bank account. You can time it with the receipt of those quarterly statements, take a look and reassess. I think some of these money lessons it's just about the repetitive nature, the incremental behavior to continually check. If you do those things, you tend to get more of that flat, or more, not flat, but you avoid those troughs, those high points, those low points that can be daunting and can be hard to overcome if you take significant losses.
It's so true. And then let's wrap up the year by just, take a look at some charitable giving. This is your time in December. Put that down on your calendar. Okay, how much do I want to give to charity this year? And there is a standard deduction, of course, but some of us, particularly if you work for yourself, have an opportunity to perhaps give a little bit more. So I think it's really important to take a look at that and look at your medical savings accounts. Do you have some unreimbursed medical expenses that you need to, if you have a flexible savings account at work, this is the time to use that, because they're often use it or lose it. And again, health savings accounts are really important, and this is a good time to look at what you might contribute to one. And forward, these are just smart financial tips, and they're good things. So I think it's really important. And the other thing, Jeff, that you may have already mentioned, another point is double check your withholding. It's always good at the end of the year if you're going to start a new job, and there's a new form to do that now. So the form, the W-4 is a different form this year. So I think it's really important to take a look at that. Yeah, take advantage of new tax law changes, and certainly, just on go to break, but just a last point in terms of charitable giving. Charitable giving, I think, was a little flat last year or down. Now's the time to consider giving, because there are people who need your help, and even a little bit can go a long way. It's about bundling up small contributions. You don't have to be the $100,000 hero. You can be the $100 hero or the $50 hero, but make you feel good inside, good to help other people. Kari, excellent list, excellent ideas. I want to go to a quick break. When we come back, we'll talk to Kari about aging well. I need help with that. So stay tuned right here on BRN AM. Imagine a new television network that will make you richer, healthier, and in control of your financial future. This network is for the policewoman in Nashville, Tennessee, the baker in Dubuque, Iowa, the teacher in Lexington, Kentucky. We want to make the idea of savings and retirement culturally relevant. But what do you see as a defining issue of the midterms? Especially for the smaller businesses. I mean, they are the lifeblood of the American economy. Featuring exclusive interviews, current affairs, and docuseries. 33 years old, you retired early.
The philosophy is money only matters if it helps you live a life that you love.
But you got to start thinking about retirement as soon as you get in.
The Broadcast Retirement Network will drive very high engagement with premium partnerships. So this isn't retirement and savings for your parents or grandparents. This is for all Americans. And we're going to change the way you think about money. Welcome to the next frontier of retirement and savings. This is BRN, the Broadcast Retirement Network. Welcome back. We're talking to personal finance expert, author, and columnist, Kari Hannon. Kari, thanks so much for sticking around this morning.
Hey, great to be here. Thanks for having me. And you know what we're going to talk about in this segment, I want to make a point of saying it's a column that's up right now on Market Watch if anyone wants to check it out there as well.
Yeah, this is a great column. We'll post a link to it below. Kari, getting older, some say it's not fun. I think like a fine wine, you get better with age. But you've got some great tips. We just talked about personal finance tips, but you've got some great tips for how to age and get more mature better.
Yeah, I think the most important thing about healthy aging, and I talk about this all the time, but work, okay? You've got to stay mentally engaged. And whether, work is not a four-letter word. You need to, have a reason to get up in the morning. And maybe you're not, it doesn't necessarily have to be for pay, but it's being relevant and being needed and keeping your skills sharp. And so, someone asked me, what do you see as sort of the moving forward, in 2020 and beyond for the trends? And I think some of the trends we're going to see is that people are going to continue to work. We have this longevity bonus going for us, but because work, it's not only what I just said, the physical attributes of, being relevant, but when you're financially, when you have that little bit of a cushion, it gives you a peace of mind that also lends itself to health.
Yeah, I think we're in the process of redefining what retirement means, and you have come on this program several times talking about a lot of really good tips in terms of interacting with family. But I think the best tip that you've ever given me, and no offense to the other tips, is think about working and being productive. And that can be doing something, as you said, completely different. If you enjoy sewing, if you enjoy playing hockey, maybe coaching hockey, if you enjoy something, to be active. An active brain, an active body means that you're going to have a better, longer life, especially as you mature.
Yeah, and I'm also, really a big fan of staying physically healthy, and it doesn't mean, running fast miles, but it means definitely having some sort of regular workout regime and eating healthy. And those are things that help us age in a good way, and they help you stay in the workforce, because when you have this sort of fitness about you, you have this energy and this, no one knows what that quality is, but they want you on their team. And so if you're looking for a job right now and you're over 50 or over 60 or what have you, or you just simply want to hang on to the job you have right now, if you can stay, have that certain energy that comes from being fit and confidence, it's going to go a long way to fighting ageism in the workplace.
And to that point, Kari, we were talking on the program to Devin Banerjee, Senior Financial Services Editor for LinkedIn, talking about businesses now wanting to hire more mature workers. And I think really to that point that Devin made, you cannot train experience, and you do not want experienced workers walking out of your company and then having to allow younger people to get that experience. So I think having balanced teams, cross-functional teams, really important, and we can all learn something from one another.
Without question, these multi-generational teams, their studies are showing that they're more productive, workers are more engaged, and it's just like we all learn from each other. And it's just a really, really positive thing that I'm seeing in the workplace and in the whole aging space. And we have these two generations. And even in my book, Never Too Old to Get Rich, I have a whole section on companies that are being started by entrepreneurs who are in their late 40s, 50s, 60s with somebody in their 20s or 30s. And these are companies that have longevity themselves. They're not just, starting something for 5 years, but they have legs. And you get the energy you get the energy from both generations, but you get the sort of enthusiasm and tech savvy of someone who's a bit younger that's coming with some fresh look at the workplace. And you have what you just said, the experience and the leadership abilities of someone who's a bit older.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be adversarial. And I just never understood that. I mean, I think a lot of people are fearful that they'll lose their job. Maybe more mature people lose their job to younger workers. But I think employers are finding out that it isn't all a panacea, and that the myopic view of profitability in the short run doesn't help you in the long run. And I think that's changing the complexion of work, which I think benefits mature workers. And to your earlier point, to start the segment, we all want to feel a part of something. We all want to feel productive.
Without question. And the final thing I would say about trying to keep yourself healthy, moving forward into this year and the years beyond is stay sharp with your skills, and whether it's skills that apply to your work or not, learn something new. I mean, just this morning, I myself was online thinking about, I'm not kind of interested in that, that program. It's an online program, 2 weeks for a certificate. And I thought that'd be kind of challenging for me. And it's through Cornell University, but all these universities have these wonderful online programs that's ongoing education, or simply sign up for a lecture series, or, something that you can do that you're constantly firing up your brain, because that is what's going to keep you healthy, and it can keep you wealthy.
Healthy and wealthy, both important tenets. And I know my mom sits with her boyfriend and does a lot of the crossword puzzles in the morning, keeps her brain healthy. And my father just completed, we're from Baltimore, Maryland, so he just completed a historical course about the city of Baltimore, which actually he found a photo of my grandfather's store. So there are things you can do. Both my parents are mature. I'm in my 40s, so they're in their 70s. They're active. They do great things. They still work. They're very productive. It's amazing. It's inspirational, and it makes me want to work until I'm not alive anymore.
Yeah, because it's not really work, is it? It's just like it's loving what you do and learning.
It is. Hey, Kari, I want to just real quick before I let you go. I was watching the Golden Globes Award, and one of the films, or I guess films, Netflix film, The Irishman, which features like Joe Pesci and Robert De Niro, and I think Martin Scorsese is the director. But they have the ability now to de-age actors, and digitally. So now you don't even have to do like cosmetic surgery. I guess they can de-age you. Just wanted to get it was a great series. But I think that's kind of amazing now that actors can have longer lives, or longer working lives, I guess.
Yeah, I think it's great. And I think it really works in that film. It didn't trouble me at all that they did that. I thought it was really cool. And I wish you could do it right now. And that would be really nice for me if you could make me look about 10 years younger. No, I'm kidding.
I'm not. I'll have to talk to our crew. I mean, our crew is excellent. Guys, you watching this, maybe we'll see what we can do. But I think before we even do that, because I think you're perfect the way you are, I want to put hair back on my head, because we're coming up on my 20-year or 30-year reunion from high school. I had hair. I'm afraid to go back because they're going to say, you look like Mr. Clean. Well,
love it. But we got to embrace our aging, don't we?
I think so. I like a fine wine, like I said. Kari Hannon, always a pleasure talking with you, and great to end on a very positive note. Take care.
Yeah, take care, Jeff. Bye.
And that wraps up this episode of BRN AM. Have a financial topic or someone of interest that you think we should talk to? Drop us a line. And don't forget, for all the news in retirement, markets, technology, personal finance, and so much more, check out today's edition of The Morning Pulse. So until tomorrow, I'm Jeff Snyder. Keep on saving, and don't forget, roll with the changes.